It was a steamy afternoon along Surf Avenue in Brooklyn. A great day to give the Cyclone a spin or go on some of the other rides at the amusement park, or maybe even head to the beach to cool off in the water. But now the stage is set for baseball. From MCU Park, the red-hot first-place Brooklyn Cyclones host the Batavia Muckdogs. Brooklyn comes into this ball game 16 games over 500 and a very comfortable 8-game lead over Aberdeen in the McNamara division of the New York-Penn League. Hello and welcome to our final telecast of Cyclones baseball. I'm Eamon McEnany along with Bobby Ojeda. And Bobby, it really doesn't matter what train you take to get here to Coney Island. It just keeps on rolling for Wally Backman's ball club.
Oh, it does. They're playing outstanding baseball. Their pitching is leading two very important categories, ERA and least amount of walks allowed. Very important parts of the game right there. That's why their defense is so good. And their offense, oh my goodness, they lead in so many categories. I can't name them all. And what they're doing, though, on top of that, is they're playing the game the right way. This is one of the things Wally loves, is they're understanding the importance of moving runners along. They're understanding the importance of taking the extra base. They understand the importance of attempting a steal. Even if you're unsuccessful, you're pressuring the defense. He's been doing that all year.
You mentioned leading all these offensive statistical categories. Two guys who have been doing it right from the get-go, Corey Vaughn and Daryl Siciliani.
Well, they've been fantastic. They just are. Vaughn leading in home runs, and he's looking to break the record here. He's a strong young man. Both those young men are both major league prospects. I was talking with their coaches earlier. They're very proud of them. They're hard working. They understand the game, and they've grown. They've expanded. They've gotten better while they've been here. Their approach is one of the things they've been fine-tuning, and they're doing a great job with that.
Poor opposing pitchers, before they have to focus on Siciliani and Vaughn, they have to deal with the Cyclones leadoff hitter, Rylan Sandoval, and what a surprise he's been.
Oh my gosh, great story too. This young man, $3,500 invested in himself in a program out in Arizona, I believe, where you pay to go have scouts watch you. This kid believes in himself, and he got here when he got to Brooklyn. He started to play every day, and that's when he clicked. Wally Backman, he knew this young man from before he played pro ball, and he got him here. He was instrumental in getting him here, and he has flourished now that he's playing every day, playing himself right into being a prospect as well.
Hitting over 400 in his last 6 games. And now in this year's draft, the Mets picked pitcher Matt Harvey out of North Carolina in the first round. In their next pick, in the 3rd round, catcher Blake Forsythe, and we get our first chance to see him tonight.
You know, Wally's been very happy with the way he handles himself behind the plate. One thing that he's working on, and I think it's coming from college, is that he's got to speed the game up. He's a little bit slow back there. I think he's looking for signs over in the dugout, which they do a lot in college. He's got to get the ball back to his pitcher right away, put some signs down, and keep the flow of the game going. That's very important in pro ball. Keep the game going on a nice flow.
The former Tennessee Volunteer adjusting to life in the pros and in Brooklyn. First pitch when we return to Coney Island. Chris Hilliard on the mound for the Cyclones, facing off against the Muckdogs. A good night to go for a stroll along the boardwalk here in Coney Island, trying to beat the heat as it is a muggy evening. And it's Irish night, Irish Heritage Night here at MCU Park. The Leprechaun on hand to throw out the first pitch, and you see the players there in different uniforms, the green uniforms for Irish Heritage Night here at MCU Park. The Batavia Muckdogs come in here a half game out of first place in the Pinckney division as we take a look at their lineup. Joseph Bergman, the second baseman, will lead off. Matt Vallejo plays right field and hits second. Nicholas Longmire, the center fielder, hits third. And Victor Sanchez, the first baseman, hits cleanup. And that's the lineup that Chris Hilliard will face, the southpaw out of Mississippi.
Well, Hilliard's got a nice little fastball in the high 80s, but one of the things that you can look for tonight, he's got a little bit of a slow, deliberate windup, and they're trying to speed the tempo of that, get him a little more rhythm. He's coming off a very good game against Staten Island last time out, 6 1/3, 1 unearned point. So look for him to throw a lot of strikes tonight, which he does, but look for a little quicker delivery so it helps his consistency. The league is hitting 280 off him. He needs to get that number down.
That last start by Hilliard on Saturday, coming off his first loss of the season. So Bergman steps in, and here is the first pitch of the ball game. We're underway with a strike. Bergman hitting .301. Brooklyn blanked the Muckdogs last night, and Hilliard quickly ahead 0-2. The 0-2 outside. Again, the Cyclones catcher tonight, the 3rd round pick in this year's draft, Blake Forsyth out of the University of Tennessee. Made his debut just under a month ago. That's high, 2-2.
Forsyth as well is working on a game tempo. You want to see him getting the ball back to his pitcher a lot quicker, keeping the game flowing, keeping his pitcher locked in.
The 2-2. Swung on right back up the middle, a base hit for Bergman. He is on with a single right back up past Hilliard and into center.
Big hanging breaking ball here. Jumped ahead 0-2. Got a little too careful with some other pitches, and then he just flipped that one right in there. Slowed his tempo down. As you see the problem, when you slow everything down, the ball gets real round. There was no late break and kind of flutters in there. Easy for guys to hit. It's one of the reasons they're hitting 280 off them. Lefties are actually hitting 312.
So that brings up Matt Valleca, the right fielder, hitting a $176. That's in there for a strike. Valleca's older brother Chris, an infielder in the Reds system, plays for Louisville and was in the AAA All-Star game. Valleca, a 34th round pick out of California. From the stretch, fouled off. But once again, Hilliard ahead in the count, 0-2. There's a look at Muckdog manager. His team came in a half game out of first place. Dan Bilardello.
Had a team meeting prior to tonight's game. They've got some people banged up, and he told them, look, go out there and just play hard. They're in first place in our division, trying to go to the whip a little bit with his young team.
The throw over. They were playing very well at home until they made the trip down to Brooklyn. The winning streak at home propelled them into first place. So now Hilliard from the set, fouled off again. On deck, Nicholas Longmire, product of Pacific University out west. Another throw over to first. Bergman with just 2 stolen bases on the season. The 0-2. Again, right back up the middle. This time, J.B. Brown is there. Steps on second, throws to first. Got him. Double play. Nice play by the second baseman, J.B. Brown.
Nice flash of defense there. This is one of the reasons why they've got the record they do. Not an easy play. Brown stayed with it, unloaded a nice throw. Big double play. First inning. That's what a pitcher needs. Sometimes that first inning can slowly slip away from you. You get a nice double play, get you right out, get you on a roll.
Now Longmire steps in. And again, Hilliard gets ahead in the count. Here's a look at the Cyclones defense. We saw Brown at second. The big man Flag over at first base. Rylan Sandoval is the shortstop. Brian Harrison plays the hot corner. And in the outfield, it's Cody Holliday in left, Ceciliani in center, and Vaughn in right. Longmire got off to a tremendous start this season. It's cooled off a bit, now hitting 290 with 8 home runs. That's high, 1-2. The 1-2. Swung on and missed, so Hilliard gets the double play ball and then the strikeout. 3 up, 3 down in the top of the first. When we return, those red-hot Cyclones led by Sandoval coming up to hit. We head to the bottom of the first on Irish night here at MCU Park in Coney Island, taking a look at the Cyclones lineup. A lot of guys putting up some big numbers. Rylan Sandoval, the shortstop, leads it off, hitting .329, followed by Ceciliani at .376. Corey Vaughn's over .300. Jeff Flagg, the first baseman, hits 5th. Joe Bonfie, the DH, followed by Brian Harrison, and they will be going up against Andy Moss, who comes in with a record of 5-1.
Andy Moss got a little bit of 4 pitches going. When he gets ahead, one thing that's interesting, he does like to drop down with a little Laredo sidearm. I know over there that that's the type of thing they don't really encourage, but sometimes the guy has a little luck with it and tough to take it away. Ace Hadams, their pitching coach, was talking to me about his stuff, and he's got a little bit of everything. Not really exceptional velocity, but he comes at you and throws some strikes.
Coming off a 5-inning performance where he got the win. The 1-0 inside again, 2-0 to Sandoval. Sandoval hitting with 11 hits and 2 home runs in his last 6 games to get his average up to 329. The 2-0 swung on, goes the other way. There's a base hit to right. So Sandoval continues to swing a hot bat.
Well, this is what they were talking about. I was talking to Benny Desfano, the Brooklyn Cyclone hitting coach, and he told me what he loves about this young man is he uses the entire field. Yes, he's got 9 home runs, but he will do that at the drop of a hat. He won't force the home run. If it's there, he'll take it. Other than that, he just likes to spray the ball with good hard line drives.
So that brings up Cesolani. He squares, pulls it back, pitch outside. Already here in the first week of August, he has set a new Cyclones record for triples on a season. You see the 376 average leading the Penn League, 9 triples on the season.
Wally loves him in that 2 position because he's learning how to play the game. Right there we saw him attempt a bunt. He's learning how to move the runners along, push a bunt, pull a bunt, drop a drag down, getting it done.
Swings away there into the gap. That'll go all the way to the wall, and it's gone. So Cesolani shows some power to the opposite field. Not exactly known for the long ball, but that one got out of here. So the Cyclones with the early 2-0 lead.
What else can this young man do? He's hit 380 and said, you know what, I don't have a home run. We're on SNY tonight. Why don't I go yard the other way? Now, it does have a favorable wind tonight. It is blowing out, but he spanked that ball. I'm really surprised how far that ball flew. That's the deepest part of the ballpark right there. A very deep part of the ballpark. Tough to get it out of normal wind, but outstanding right there. Just Wally, I can look at him over there. He's just beaming with his hometown project doing so well.
That's right. Cesolani from Oregon, Madras, Oregon. That brings up Vaughn. Madras, Oregon, the same town that produced Jacoby Ellsbury of the Boston Red Sox. So now Vaughn in his 10 home runs digs in. Son of former big leaguer Greg Vaughn. Played collegiately at San Diego State for the Hall of Famer Tony Gwynn. The 2-0, that is rocketed. Does that one have enough loft? It does. That one gets over the wall. So back-to-back jacks for the Cyclones. What a surprise. Cesolani and Vaughn leading the way for Brooklyn. It's 3-0 Cyclones.
They are a dynamic pair, just outstanding. Those guys have really made a difference on this ball. They're the only 2 guys to play in all 46 Cyclone games this season, and they are showing why. They just do an outstanding job on both sides of the ball. And Mr. Vaughn's father is in town, and I'm sure that shot right there made him very proud.
Greg Vaughn's been here all week checking out the action. You know, one thing you got to like about Corey Vaughn, he does not disappoint when the big lights of the TV cameras are here. He knows when he's on TV and comes through. So now Jeff Flagg, the first baseman, hitting 295 with 5 home runs and 33 runs batted in, steps up. Fouls that one off to fall behind 0-2.
Last time we were here, he was in a little bit of a slump, but he seems to keep holding his own, hovering around that 300 mark, even when he got a little cold. So Mr. Flagg has been doing a good job with the bat, you know, taking his offers, but learning and moving forward. And it's been an outstanding addition at first base for Wally. He said he's got beautiful range, can pick it, and his height definitely helps over there at first.
Started off red hot, hitting 340 in the first 13 games. The 1-2 swung on and missed, so Moss gets his first out of the inning. Now let's take a look at the Muckdog defensive alignment. De La Cruz Here's the catcher, Sanchez at first, Bergman the second baseman, Unier Castillo over at short. Bonfy goes back up the middle for a base hit. So the designated hitter is on with a single.
First ball, fastball hit and send the ball right back up the middle. One of the things you like to see is, even though the home runs are happening in this inning, he's not trying to force it. He doesn't. He only has one, but apparently he saw the flag too. Takes it. Might have been even a breaking ball, excuse me. But either way, using the center of the field because that's where that pitch laid itself out to hit. Nice piece of hitting right there.
Brian Harrison, the third baseman, steps in. 262 with 5 home runs and 16 RBI, 13th round pick in the 2010 draft. Swung on and he goes the other way for a flare for a base hit. Bonfy stops at second. So the Cyclones in business once again here in the bottom of the first.
They are leading the league, no surprise, as we sit here and watch them hit. They are leading the league in just about every offensive category you could think of. Hits and runs and doubles and triples and home runs. On base percentage, they are just knocking the ball all over the yard. And it has a lot to do with approach. I know we see the swings, but one thing they don't like to do at this level is tinker with the swings too much. Even though they're adjusting to wood bat, they really are talking about approach, and that's one of the things we've seen. This is our 4th game here, and we really have seen these young Cyclones use the center of the field, use the other way, and not afraid to turn and drive a ball.
So here are all the categories that they are leading or in the top of in the New York-Penn League. Batting average just under 300. Home runs 39. The last time they led the league in home runs, 2002. 452 hits. And the pitching staff ain't too shabby either. So 2 on for Forsythe. The catcher.
Come on, Kevin. There you go.
Swing and a miss. Big cut there.
This young man, 3rd rounder from Tennessee. One of the things he's working on is his approach at the plate also. He has made a little bit of adjustment with the wood bat, but they're working on his approach, trying to get him a little bit more selective with his pitches.
15 home runs in each of his last 2 seasons with the Volunteers. Fooled on that one. 1-2. Forsythe grew up in Memphis, Tennessee, a Braves fan, but quickly became a Met fan as soon as the Amazons selected him. That pitch outside, 2-2.
Last 5 games hitting 300, a little sign that he is making the adjustment on him. But what you see when you do get into pro ball, the first thing is you press a little bit, try to hit it too far. And then second of all, you are seeing a few more breaking balls that are a little later, a little sharper. That's all part of the growing process and learn how to hit pro pitchers.
The 2-2. Ring him up. He takes it, and he gets punched out. So now 2 on, 2 out for J.B. Brown.
I don't like that call.
I didn't think you would. Blake Forsythe doesn't like it either. Boss certainly will take it.
He didn't like it. He did the right thing. But, you know, turned around, went to the bench. That's all you do. You don't want to argue with the ump this early in the game, if ever. You know, just take a right turn, go sit down.
There's a look at J.B. Brown's number, 287 with 1 home run. He swings at the first pitch, sends it to center. Longmire retreats and is there to make the catch. So a big bottom of the first for the Cyclones. Ceciliani for the first time as the Cyclone leaves the yard. And then a guy who's a little bit more used to hitting the round trippers, Corey Vaughn, number 11. It's 3-0 Cyclones after 1. Chris Hilliard's first pitch at the top of the second is outside. Brooklyn out to the early 3-0 lead after back-to-back home runs from Daryl Ceciliani and Corey Vaughn. The 1-0. In there for a strike. 1-1.
I see what Rick Tomlin, I see what Rick Tomlin was talking about with Forsythe. He does set a nice target, doesn't move too much. You don't want to see a catcher at this level move him way out to the black, in and out, because it's a little much. What you really want to do is throw strikes, and that's one of the reasons why these Brooklyn Cyclones are leading the league in least amount of walks allowed.
Victor Sanchez now behind in the count 1-2. Product of the University of San Diego. 26th round pick. Looks like he hurt his shoulder on that swing way out in front of the off-speed pitch. Let's take another look. Dr. Ojeda, what do you see here?
Well, I think, like you said, he got way out in front. Might have just rolled over. You see that hand roll over there a little heavy. Just tweaked his shoulder a little bit. He should be fine.
Sanchez, not exactly the numbers you would expect from a guy hitting cleanup. 248 with just 1 home run.
Right after that, you'd love to see him bust a fastball inside just to let him know.
No mercy, even in the New York-Penn League, right?
No way. Yeah, I think if Wally was behind the dish, that's what he'd call.
So let's see if the message gets through to Mr. Hilliard. Fouled back. Sanchez pretty much on that one.
Wasn't the inside I was looking for. I like his thinking anyway.
The 1-2. Out ahead again. This time he completely misses, and Hilliard gets another strikeout.
What makes his changeup so good, and this is one of the things that I love to see taught, it's a strike. You want to throw it, even if he doesn't swing, it's a strike. A lot of times the guys will try to be too careful with a changeup. A changeup is not a location pitch. A changeup is a velocity pitch, and you should throw it over the plate as much as possible, preferably down, but over the plate.
That brings up John Rodriguez, the third baseman. He has been swinging a hot bat for the Muckdogs. Grounds that one just foul. To even the count at 1-1. 3 home runs in his last 4 games for Rodriguez.
Back in the day, that would have been a $5 fine.
The 1-1. Hilliard has him fooled again, 1-2. Born in Puerto Rico, 20 years old. The 1-2, he chases, so 3 straight strikeouts for the southpaw, 2 outs here in the top of the second.
Interesting call, interesting target right here by Forsythe. I really like the way these two are working together, really keeping it moving. Forsythe looks like he got the message, get the ball back to your pitcher, let him work his tempo, and these two are really in sync right now. I'd like to see him keep it up for about another 7 innings.
So that brings up the former Rutgers star Patrick Baserta. Takes the first pitch for a strike. Baserta from Point Pleasant, New Jersey. Just 1 home run with the Muckdogs, hitting .224. 24th round pick. That pitch way outside. The 1-1. Swung on, goes the other way. Harrison is there. Makes the throw over to first. 3 up, 3 down for Hilliard and the Cyclones. When we return to Brooklyn, we'll be joined by Ron Darling. Talk a little bit about the Mets and his foundation when we return. We go to the bottom of the second here in Brooklyn. The Cyclones leading 3-0 over the Batavia Muckdogs. And Eamon McEnany along with Bobby Ojeda. Happy to be joined by our good friend Ron Darling. Of course, a very familiar face to those who watch Met baseball here on SNY. So day off, what brings you out here to Coney Island?
Well, it's great to be out here. Thank you very much. And honestly, to see, I never played A-ball. I know you did, right, Elmira? So never saw fields like this. The first field I went to in Shreveport, Louisiana, they had condemned the upper tank. So literally you had to play in this ballpark with seats maybe for 1,000 people. But it was fun. It was nickel beer night. You know about those nights. And they used to throw beer on you when you used to warm up. It's a whole different thing. They've taken it up to another level.
Ron, also you are here to raise some awareness for your Ron Darling Foundation. What's the mission of the Ron Darling Foundation?
You know, it's serendipitous, to tell you the truth. Corey Vaughn hit the home run in the first inning for you guys. And, you know, he's a diabetic, type 1 diabetic. My son contracted diabetes when he was 10 years old. He's 17 as of 3 days ago. That's not making me too happy, by the way. But I think that I'm so lucky that the family of the Brooklyn Cyclones has allowed me to come here as we see this ball up the middle. Go, Eamon.
Corey Holiday grounds to short. They make the throw. That's Junior Castillo, 6'3", so 1 out for the Cyclones.
But the family of the Cyclones have welcomed me in. They've allowed me on August 27th to not only have, Bobby, I know you're a big fan of this, the bobblehead night. So I'm going to have my own bobblehead. By the way, I'm much skinnier, the bobblehead. My head's a little bigger, but we'll work on it. But it still looks great. But it's a bobblehead night, and also the Cyclones are going to help raise money for diabetes through the foundation. And can I tell you, they don't have to do it. They reached out. They want to do good things. And that's why this place is packed every night, because they care about their fans, they care about people, and they want to do good things and good works. And we're going to hopefully that night raise enough for the local hospital here and other avenues to buy some pumps that Sandoval Sandoval does not wear the pump. He does still injections. Corey Vaughn in right field does wear the pump. We're going to try to give some pumps to folks here in Brooklyn, in Coney Island, that can't afford it. And I think, I don't know, we're really lucky to hopefully pull that off.
There is a look at Ryland Sandoval. 1 for 1 here tonight at 333. The 1-2 outside, 2-2.
Ronnie, last night's game, I was at home watching and enjoying until it fell apart. What'd you see? What are you seeing with this ball club right now? I've been out of the office for a couple days, and it just looks like they're a little bit lost right now.
You know what it is, Bob, is that, you know, what's a shame is that the first 3 innings are forgotten about. They battled offensively. They looked like they were in a mode to do all the right things, to score enough runs to win. They absolutely didn't play great defense behind Pelfrey. I think Mike, at a certain point, has got to be able to rein that in. One of the things about being a starting pitcher as a line drive the center field for a single, one of the things you have to worry about as a starting pitcher is that I always judge starting pitchers of getting the big outs. And that's what you have to do. There's 5 or 6 outs you have to have in a game, as we see the replay here. Go ahead, Eamon.
Daryl Ceciliani continues to show he can do it all. Reaching out there and sends the base hit to center, 2 for 2.
How can a kid named Ceciliani not be good in Coney Island? I mean, please. I think that, you know, with starting pitchers, there's 5 or 6 outs you have to get in the game to have a great game, and Mike wasn't able to get those outs. And I think that right now, this Mets team, and I don't know if you feel the same way, Bobby, if they don't get one of those 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 6 K games by their pitcher, they have a really hard time winning right now.
Yeah. You put them in a hole early, they press even more than what we're seeing, and that's certainly a problem. This big series going into Philly. How much weight do you put on this? I know there's this, you know, live or die with each series mentality, which I think gets overplayed sometimes, but I think we're at a point of the season where if they go in there and have a poor showing, they're in real trouble.
Well, I'm with you. I agree wholeheartedly that there's too much weight put on the big series. The key is that if you're not playing well, it doesn't matter what kind of series you're playing. I mean, I think you have to look inward, you know, to look out in front of who you're trying to chase, whether it's the Braves or the Phillies, and say, boy, we gained a game on them tonight. But if you're not playing well, what does that matter?
Corey Vaughn, the swing and the miss, so that'll do it for the Cyclones in the second. Ron Darling bobblehead night, August 27th. Here it is. Get a good look. Ron, thank you very much for coming by.
Thanks, guys.
We're back with the third when we return to Brooklyn. There's a great look at Astroland and the Cyclone. Plenty of people still out there on the rides here in Brooklyn as we move to the top of the third. Chris Hilliard pitching a shutout. Facing the catcher, Luis de la Cruz, making his Muckdog debut tonight. And a pretty impressive one right there. The line drive into center field for a base hit. The leadoff man is on for Batavia.
Hopefully we'll get a chance to see Forsythe's footwork. Says, you know, very good arm down to second base, quick feet. Hopefully Hilliard will give him a shot if they decide to put anybody in motion here. Which at this point in the game, I got to believe they may see something.
That brings up Christopher Edmondson, the designated hitter. Upstate New York guy, played his college ball at Lemoyne College up there in Syracuse for the Dolphins. 43rd round pick. The all-time home run leader at Lemoyne with 44. Fouls that one off. Also leads the school in runs batted in and games played. So a great career for Chris Edmondson with the Dolphins in upstate New York. Central New York, to be more specific. Hilliard throws over. So he's thinking along with you, Bobby.
Hey, thanks, Lefty.
Even though there was nothing happening there, it's still a good idea just to let him know, hey, I've got my eye on you. I'm looking at you. I'm thinking about if you can hold him half a step, that might be enough if he goes.
The 1-1 outside. At Tennessee, Forsythe threw out just under 35% of the runners who tried to steal on him. The 2-1. Fouled back, 2-2. Bobby, what are your early impressions on Hilliard so far here tonight?
Well, I like what I see. In talking with Rick Tomlin before the game, I know he said he really was concentrating a lot on getting his tempo up. He's when he gets slow, he leaves pitches up out over the plate. When you slow everything down, not much rotation. I'm seeing a lot better quick tempo right here, and I think it's having a good effect. And he's working well with Forsythe. The two of them, it's funny, you have two guys who are working on tempo. One tempo of the game, one tempo of the delivery. But it is one of the most important aspects of pitching.
2 earned runs or less in 5 of his 9 starts, but he walks them there, so in a bit of a jam now in the top of the 3rd. 2 on, nobody out for the shortstop, Yunier Castillo. Here's a look at the skipper, Wally Backman.
You spend hours on this scenario right here in spring training, hours on it. The young guys do. They always have early work at this level. And right now you're going to be put to the test. It's most likely there's going to be a bump. But let's see what type of play they're going to put on and get the job done right here.
Castillo squares, gets it down, but fouls it away.
Problem there. Second baseman breaking to first, and Flagg held his ground. I think he needs to watch an Ike Davis highlight film. This is where Ike Davis really shines. I love the way he crowds that batter and takes that first base side out of play. Right there, he was a little flat-footed. That wasn't much of an effort by Flagg over there.
Castillo squares again, gets it down this time. Hilliard doesn't even look at third, goes to Flagg at first. So Castillo does his job by moving the runners over. I guess with a 3-0 lead, that's the smart play by Hilliard right there.
No, that was really actually the worst play.
That's it, I'm done.
Well, I just think, you know, this is I tell my guys when I coach, I said, this is the most important play in baseball. If you can come in and get the guy at third, you just negated their offense, and you kept the double play in order, and you've only got one guy in scoring position. That right there wasn't much of an effort right there by Hilliard.
So now Bergman with a chance to get his team right back in the ball game.
Your mindset has to be, I'm going to third, period, and I have to be called off of it. My catcher has to tell me, no, go one, go one. That was more like a foregone conclusion, whatever, I'm going to go to first. That attitude gets you beat.
Bergman, a 33rd round pick out of the College of Charleston, actually drafted by the Cards in '09 as well. The Southern Conference Player of the Year 2 seasons ago. Fouls that one off. Make the count 1-2. We'll look at the defensive alignment behind Hilliard. Playing back with the 3-0 lead. The 1-2. Just gets a piece of it to stay alive.
Priority right now, and I'm sure it's been emphasized by Wally, knock the ball down. Anything, don't let it get through the infield no matter what. You're going to save a run. They're going to get the one, but you save one. And these runs along the way is what the Cyclones have been saving. That's why their record is so good.
The 1-2. Yeah, in a late swing, but he stays alive.
What I'm seeing from Hilliard here is he's in trouble. He's sort of reverting back to that slow tempo, and as such, he's leaving pitches up. Like that was a big, slow, hanging breaking ball. Really got away with it. I'd like to see him get right back to being aggressive towards home.
The 1-2. High chopper. Hilliard has to go to first, and he gets him. So the sacrifice works for the Muckdogs as they score a run on and out. That ball was up there for a while.
Yeah, nice play right there. What I like is he didn't panic, but that is one of those ones. Had he gone to third, no run scores, and hopefully that won't come back later in the game. But nice play, under control the whole way. Clearly had no shot at home, and didn't even think about it. So very good play by Mr. Hilliard.
So that brings up Valleca. He hit into a double play back in the first. Takes a strike. The 0-1. Outside. Hilliard made his professional debut back in 08 with the Gulf Coast Mets. All 10 appearances in relief. The 1-1. The other way, but that will find the seats foul. So now Hilliard a strike away from getting out of the third inning with just a run. Wally taking a look at his lineup card.
What is with the glasses? Are you kidding me?
The 1-2. Jams him inside, fouls it right back.
Of course, don't get a shot of us right now because I got the same pair.
Did you guys go shopping together?
We buy them in bulk.
So Hilliard looking to pick up another strikeout, get out of the inning. Valleca gets a piece. Harrison can't get it. Sandoval comes up with a long throw. Not in time. It's 3-2 as Valleca picks up an RBI with an infield hit.
Tough break, but he set it up himself. The casual attitude on the first and second is what set up these two runs right here. Type of inning he could have got out possibly with none. Makes a good pitch, gets unlucky. But you've got to always be aggressive to get the lead runner, and that was one thing that's really come back to haunt him this inning.
So now Nicholas Longmire steps in. Throw over to first. Longmire, a 5th round pick, fouls that one back. Four stolen bases on the season for Valleca. Out of Cal. The 0-1 to Longmire. Swing and a miss.
Got to make sure he finishes in here. He's got him 0-2. I see him shaking his head a little bit. He's still thinking about those runs he gave up, and really has to get on this pitch and not worry about what's already happened.
Throws over to first. Longmire hitless in his last 4 games coming into this one. Would like to extend the inning for Batavia. The 0-2. Right down Broadway for a strike. So the Muckdogs get right back in it with 2. We head to the bottom of the third. The Cyclones up by 1. The cheerleaders here at MCU Park getting the crowd ready to go for the bottom of the third. Where's their green, Bobby? It's Irish Heritage Night. Well, they should be in green jerseys. Flag leads off. Swings at the first pitch and fouls it back. Jeff Flagg, Bobby, not exactly a youngster here in the New York-Penn League.
No, he's you know, he is definitely getting a little bit long of tooth to be in this league. But if he bangs the ball around, you know, it's you never know with a young man. They see something in him, why they want to keep him around. And all your draft guys are here, so he's not going anywhere. He just needs to finish strong right now.
There aren't too many guys 6'6" with that kind of power hanging around the yard, which I guess maybe you give him a longer leash when you know what potential could be there.
That's exactly right. And he is, you know, his last 5 games hitting .235, so he really does need to put it together. And just what we ordered. Oh,
nice catch by Valleca, extending to take a hit away from Flag as Flag went the other way.
Very nice catch out there. Ball carrying too, as we noted, that wind blowing out, which is an unusual wind for here.
So that brings up Bonfi, the designated hitter. Fouls that one off. Bonfi had a base hit in his first at bat.
Well, he's thinking. I don't have any problem with a bunt attempt right there, but I will tell you, this is the time of the season where these young guys playing every day, it does start to catch up to them a little bit. It's hot. It gets a little long. They need to keep their focus.
Gets jammed on it. Moss says, I'll take care of it myself. So Moss retires the first 2 batters rather quickly.
As much as these kids play nowadays, which is a lot, it's still, you add in the traveling, you add in the buses, you add in the arriving late to towns. It starts to take a toll on most of these guys who are in their, you know, early 20s at best.
And for most of them, it's right after a college season that was kind of, you know, 55 games, you know, with lots of travel as well. Not as much as certainly the York-Penn League, but it was a, you know, 55 games in a concise period of time.
Yes, it gets long, and that's why a lot of the times the numbers of the first-year guys anyway, there's not a tremendous amount of weight put into their numbers, more in their approach, more in their attitude, more in the way they carry themselves. That can get you invited down to instructional ball.
Harrison past Moss. Bergman comes up with it, but not in time. So an infield hit for Brian Harrison. He's 2 for 2 on the ball game.
Once again, staying up the middle with the ball if that's what's warranted. That's what I like about their style of hitting right now. They're not forcing the ball up the middle, but they're staying on the zone a long time and making decent contact right there. A nice piece of hitting right there by the young man.
So that brings up Blake Forsythe, the catcher. Harrison back. Forsythe played his home games at the University of Tennessee in Lindsey Nelson Stadium. Certainly a name very familiar to Met fans here in New York. Lindsey Nelson graduated from Tennessee back in the 30s. Was an assistant coach on the football team with the legendary Coach Nalen.
Stay in it. Stay in it.
Now the 1-0 to Forsythe. Swung on, hit to center. Longmire going back on it. It's over his head. It'll go to the wall. Here comes Harrison. He will score easily. It's 4-2 Brooklyn as Forsythe comes through with the RBI double.
Man's hit 400 in his last 5 games, 300 in his last 10. And I was talking with Benny DiStefano, his hitting coach, earlier, and he said he's making the adjustment to the wood bat, which is a big adjustment for a lot of these guys. They can be a little apprehensive on pitches away with the wood because it rings your hands a little bit more than the aluminum. Nice piece of hitting right there. He's learning the approach. There again, another ball driven up the middle, not forced up the middle.
So a 2-out rally for Brooklyn. Gives the Cyclones a run back. Now J.B. Brown can make it a 3-run lead once again with a base hit. Swings and misses at the first pitch. Brown hitting .433 with runners in scoring position this year. The 0-1. Can't hold up. He's in a hole, 0-2.
Nice block, atta boy.
He's been cold as of late. What you're seeing right now is trying to force his way out of it. That's a young mistake right there. He's over anxious, sees that runner out there, wants to drive him home. A little bit over anxious, needs to be more patient in his approach. That's more of an approach deal than swing.
He pulls the ground ball to first. Sanchez keeps it himself to end the inning. But the Cyclones get one back as Blake's Forsythe comes through with the RBI double. When we return, we'll talk to the skipper, Wally Backman, managing the first place Cyclones. This is Brooklyn Cyclones baseball on SNY. Brooklyn with a 4-2 lead on the Batavia Muckdogs. Eamon McEnany along with Bobby Ojeda. Now happy to spend some time with the skipper, Wally Backman, joining us live from the dugout. Wally, first of all, thanks for the time. 31-15. What do you like about your club's approach right now, 16 games over 500?
Well, we've stayed healthy, number one, but you know, we've played aggressive baseball. You know, the long balls helped us. It's helped us tonight. But we also win a lot of games by utilizing our speed. So, you know, we're able to manufacture runs. We got a little bit of the best of both worlds, hitting the home runs and being able to manufacture runs as well.
That shot by Sanchez pulled foul.
Hey, Wally, I see a lot of your guys not forcing the ball up the middle, but I see a lot of balls going up the middle other way. Is that a specific approach you're doing? Like, what is that? I mean, it really is enjoyable to watch these guys stay in the zone a long time.
You know, we're trying to keep them somewhat in the middle of the field, Bobby. You know, I mean, we try to teach, especially these young guys, try to stay in the middle of the field. You know, the guys that have the power, you know, that's probably the last thing that's going to come. So we don't want them pulling off balls. You know, we want them to think gap to gap. You know, we're not necessarily trying to make them hit the ball the other way, but try to stay gap to gap.
Sanchez lines out to flag at first, and I guess now, Wally, we can officially say that Ceciliani can do it all with his first home run of the season, opposite field no less. But where have you seen the biggest improvement in his game this summer here in Brooklyn?
I think consistency. You know, he's really learned a lot of the things. He's been able to apply the things that we've worked on, and it's just made him a better player. But no, his home run, that was on a hit and run, actually, on a 1-0 count. I told him he had to hit the ball on the ground next time.
John Rodriguez steps in for Batavia.
Blake Forsythe, Wally, looks like he's doing a good job back there, keeping the game moving.
You know, he needs to speed the game up just a little bit, I think, but he's done a fine job. You know, he is a very good receiver. Haven't been able to see him throw that much. They say he has a plus arm, a 60-65 arm. He's only been here a short time. You know, he got a nice pitch to hit this last time up, but his hitting's starting to come around as well. So, you know, I think he's a good pick for us.
Corey Vaughn showing off his defensive skills as well. And Wally, let's talk about your right fielder. Give the fan who doesn't know that much about the progression in minor leagues, what's next for Corey Vaughn after this tremendous year he's having for you right now?
Well, personally, you know, for me, I would send Corey Vaughn next year to Port St. Lucie, and halfway through the season, if he's playing well in Port St. Lucie, I'd send him straight to AA, and I think all of a sudden he'll be right on the radar screen. But he's a five-tool guy. You know, he's out of college. He came from San Diego State, a good college where he learned from Tony Gwynn. I think this is a kid that needs to be pushed.
That's one of the biggest tricks, isn't it, Wally? Knowing which guys you can push and which ones you kind of need to kind of let him breathe a little bit, let him marinate at a certain level.
Well, I think so. You know, and Daryl Siciliani, he's a perfect example. You know, he was 19 coming into this season. Last year, he only hit .238 in his first season. You know, he's having a great year here. Yeah, could we move him? We probably could, but as young as he is, for him to sit here and have a good year, he's another kid next year that I think, you know, we could try to push him to at a young age and send him to Port St. Lucie, and then if he did well again, send him to Binghamton.
The 0-2 pitch from Hilliard.
You might be.
He gets the call there to end the inning. So a 3-up, 3-down inning again for Hilliard. Wally, thanks a lot for the time, and good luck the rest of the way here with the Cyclones.
Thanks, guys.
Cyclones up by 2. We head to the bottom of the 4th. Welcome back to Brooklyn. Just in case you are wondering how Bobby Ojeda arrived and is going home tonight, there it is. Your ship has come in. It's named the Southpaw. Good crowd on hand tonight for Irish Heritage Night at MCU Park. Cyclones treating them to a 4-2 lead, and they have played great baseball here at Brooklyn, dominating at home. Cody Holliday, the left fielder, steps in. He grounded to short in his first plate appearance. Played collegiately at the University of Wilmington in Delaware. It's a called strike. Both pitchers working quickly and getting ahead in the count. The 1-2, way outside.
There's that drop down that is not one of your favorites to do to your pitching coach. I'm sure Ace Adams over there has probably tried to take that away, but what are you going to do?
The 2-2, Holliday fights it off. Holliday, an 09 selection in the 18th round, and the coolest thing for Cody Holliday about being drafted was it gave him a chance to call his brother Casey, who at the time was deployed in Iraq. Casey's a Marine. That was a very special moment to share that with his brother. Swung on and missed. It gets away from De La Cruz. In play. So Holliday on with the wild pitch after the K. Tough moment there for De La Cruz.
Very good form right there. He just caught a bad hop right there. I like the way he went down with his body, used his glove as a backstop rather than tried to pick it. He's got an unlucky bounce. Nice form.
So the Cyclones will take it because it brings up the leadoff hitter, Ryland Sandoval. 1 for 2 on the night. Takes a ball.
This guy is, according to Wally, this guy's the glue of his infield. He really, really leads those guys and does an outstanding job.
Hit and run here, but it's fouled out of play.
He's steady, got a lot of range, intelligent player. Understands what an offense is trying to do to him.
Last time Wally put the hit and run on, Daryl Cicilline left the yard for his first home run of the year. No such luck on that pitch. As the count moves to 1-1. Runner not going this time. Sandoval fouls it back. Holliday with 2 stolen bases on the season.
Here you go.
The 1-2 goes the other way for a base hit. Holliday heading for third, and he will make it easily. So a nice piece of hitting by Sandoval going the other way through the hole. That brings up Daryl Cicilline and back in the bottom of the first with a runner on. The center fielder who's done just about everything this year for the Cyclones came through with his first home run of the year.
Nice hit and run. More often. But this is what we're seeing right here is these young men, Wally said the chemistry on this ball club is one of the biggest things that he's got going for him. They are united. And that piece of hitting right there by Sandoval, I think was just another example of a team that is playing outside of themselves. When you don't play for yourself, it frees you up to do things like that. If all you're worried about your stats, your numbers, your knocks, well, first of all, you're not learning anything about the game. Second of all, you're going to feel the pressure when you turn cold. And the reason these numbers are what they are with this ball club is because they are giving themselves up. But in the long run, you benefit because everybody shares the load.
He's also been solid with runners in scoring position, hitting .511 with 21 RBIs. This will not be a hit, but it will bring in the run. The fielder's choice brings in Holliday.
And you get a little lucky.
So the Cyclones lead by 3 once again, 5-2 with Vaughn stepping up. That gets the Leprechaun ready to go here on Irish Heritage Night. I think I know what I'm wearing next St. Patrick's Day, Bobby. That jersey has me written all over it.
He's got Wally's glasses on his hat.
That brings up Corey Vaughn. 11 home runs. His 11th came earlier tonight in the first. Recently said he's starting to see the curve and slider better. Takes that one for a strike. So behind 0-2. At San Diego State in his final year there, he struck out 55 times in 188 at-bats. With Brooklyn, just 27 strikeouts in his first 142 at-bats. So you see the improvement. Almost, you would say, rapidly here with Brooklyn.
Hey, where's that pitch?
It is about approach. That's one thing they don't try to do. Like I said earlier, tinker with your swing. It's more about anticipating how the pitcher's trying to get you out, what he has, and his movement.
The 1-2. Sent out to center field. That will drop. Sandoval had to hold up. They throw through, so Vaughn goes to second. Poor fundamentals there as Sandoval showed no signs of trying to make it home. But a base hit for Vaughn. That sends out the pitching coach, Ace Adams. Not exactly happy with the home plate umpire. Bobby, you notice anything with the strike zone that might upset Ace Adams here?
No, it looked pretty big to me, but I've been where Ace is, where you want everything for your guy, and I can't blame him. That's part of it. And you know, what that does there, I'll tell you something. What that does right there, it lets you know your pitcher that you're fighting for him, you're with him. You're not giving him an excuse, but you're sort of giving him a little breather. He's got one out. He's got a big part of the ball game right here. Things have fallen apart for him, but if he can somehow save those 2 runs, you still got a ball game. So you want to let him know you're fighting for him, give him a little pep talk, and take your chances.
Big opportunity for Big Jeff Flagg. 2 on, 1 out. Got the call there for a strike. Flagg hitting .292 with 5 home runs. The 0-1 outside.
Nice to see him lay off that breaking ball. By now, he should have a pretty good idea. He's going to, most of these breaking balls he's throwing are in the dirt. He pretty much can sit fastball and look to drive it up the middle. Turn if it's middle in, but other than that, drive this ball wherever it's pitched. Don't do too much with it.
Inside, just dances out of the way. Sandoval at third, Vaughn at second, way outside. Moss now behind 3-1. 70 pitches on the night. Pitch number 71, swing and a miss. Flagg looking for the 3-run jack there.
Does tend to drop that back shoulder a little bit. That's about the 4th pitch I've seen, just about belt high, that he gets underneath. I know earlier this season they spread out his stance and tried to get him to stay on the ball a little bit longer. It looks like he's sort of regressed with that backside.
The 3-2 inside, he walks him, so Flagg works out a walk to load him. That brings up Bonfi. Will Moss get a chance to face him with 1 out and the bases loaded?
Young pitcher right here. You give him the benefit of the doubt. You didn't want to give Flagg anything to hit. He's got the double play in order. Let's see if he can get it done. Could be a confidence booster if he does it.
So Dan Villardillo stays with his right-hander. Throws a ball on the first pitch to Bonfi. Opportunity to break this ball game wide open. Moss with the off-speed pitch gets a strike. Been a battle for Moss here tonight. 10 hits, 5 earned runs. The 1-1. Bonfi out ahead of that one. 1-2.
Come on,
Bases loaded for Joe Bonfi here in the bottom of the fourth. One out. The 1-2. He chases it, so Moss comes up with the big strikeout there to get the second out of the fourth inning. What's it you like to say? Expanding the zone and get him to chase?
Well, that was set up by that second pitch, first strike, backdoor breaking ball he threw. It was a gutsy pitch, a nice pitch, and then that changed that at bat right there. Had that been a ball, he's in trouble.
So now it's up to Brian Harrison, the third baseman. Harrison has a run scored, and a couple of hits. The 1-0. In there for a strike, 1-1. Harrison played his college ball at Furman. Was banged up this year, but still hit .367 with 10 home runs. The 1-1. Fouled back. So now Moss a strike away from getting out of this bases loaded jam and giving up just one run here in the fourth. Again, this inning got started with a wild pitch on a strikeout. Cody Holliday swung at strike 3. De La Cruz couldn't handle the pitch in the dirt, and the Cyclones took advantage. Now looking for more. He goes Laredo, goes the other way into the gap. Longmire back on it, but it will be Valleca to make the catch. So the Cyclones strand 3. Moss upset about giving up that run and having to work a longer inning. We move to the 5th in Brooklyn when we return. You can't have Irish Heritage Night without a little Irish jig, as we have the dancers out there in between innings. We head to the top of the 5th from MCU Park. The first place Brooklyn Cyclones with a 3-run lead over Batavia. And there's a look at our friend the Leprechaun, who threw out one of the first pitches here tonight. I'll tell you, one of the perks of being the Leprechaun, you get the best seat in the house there, right on top of the dugout. Chris Hilliard back on the hill for the 5th. That pitch is high. De La Cruz looking for a little bit redemption, although that was certainly a tough ball to catch. It was ruled a wild pitch. That allowed Holliday to come around for the 5th run of the ball game for Brooklyn. 2-0 pitch is in there, 2-1. Hilliard coming off his longest performance of the season, pitching 6 1/3 inning of shutout ball against, no earned runs against the Staten Island Yankees. The 3-1 is high, so he loses them. So you get a run back and your pitcher walks the leadoff hitter, never a good sign.
Unless something happened to the gun. A little concerning right there. Now, that one pitch was 80 miles an hour. That's about as hard as he got it up there. I don't know if it was all breaking balls, but a little concerning right there. I'm sure he didn't run out of gas that quickly, but he's definitely either slowed down his motion, or I'm not sure what he's done, but it was a little concerning.
Just over 60 pitches. That ball is rocketed into center. Ceciliani going back on it. It's over his head. De La Cruz rounding third. He will score. And into third with a triple is the designated hitter, Chris Edmondson, as that ball was tattooed.
Coming to play the shortstop, number 7, Junior Castillo. Come on, let's go.
Was smoked 85 miles an hour up out over the plate with not much movement. He's got to get back to what he was doing. I'd like to see Forsythe go out there and give him a little kick, but they're new to each other, and that's asking a little much for these young guys.
So that's grounded the other way by Castillo. That brings in Edmondson. So quickly the Muckdogs have 2 runs in here in the top of the 5th, and it's a 1-run ball game once again.
Top of the order for Batavia, the second baseman.
Lead-off walks always come back to bite you. Castillo gets the RBI. That brings up the leadoff man, Joey Bergman. The 0-1 outside. Boy, did those two runs really deflate the crowd here, Bobby. Completely different atmosphere in about the last 10 minutes. 5 minutes even. The 1-1. In there for a strike. Hilliard back up the middle and through for a base hit for Bergman.
Hilliard has pretty much lost a little bit of his focus. The velocity's dropped. He's pretty much just throwing everything down the middle to get a strike. Breaking balls, he's dragging out of the zone. Not what you want to see, but it is part of the process. You've got to keep your focus for 2.5 hours out there on the mound. And looks like he's drifted a little bit. The longer innings with the Cyclones at plate may have lost a little bit of his concentration.
No action in the Brooklyn pen. Hilliard comes back with a strike. Facing Valleca, who came through with an RBI in his last at bat in the third. Bergman back on the throw. So now Daniel Calero gets ready to warm up for the Cyclones. Corella out of New York City. The 1-1 outside. Hilliard hitting a bump in the road here in the top of the fifth. The 2-1 fouled off.
Well, as the tempo of his delivery is slowed, his velocity is tanked, his locations have tanked, and he's getting pounded.
Pick anything up there, Coach Tomlin?
That's not a pitch call. That's a more of a pitch out or one of those type deals. What you want to do there?
Takes something off it and gets the strikeout. So he gets Valleca to go down swinging.
Fans, take a look at the video. Tracker brought to you by Kings Plaza Mall. And the play to center fielder.
Wally or Rick do not call any pitches. They told me earlier this evening they've yet to call one pitch this season. They'll call pitch outs or things like that, but they want the young guys to learn how to read each other, how to go off each other, and anticipate what's the necessary pitch, because you can't always be looking in the dugout. I know you see that in a lot of college, but you've got to stay on your pitcher.
6 Ks now for Hilliard. Ground ball. Harrison lets it go foul. Smart play by the third baseman. Molly giving Hilliard a chance to get through this inning, and I would imagine make a switch. As Corella continues to warm up in the pen. Hilliard a strike away from getting out of this inning. The 0-2. Fouled back into the seats.
You see that delivery right there. That pitch was 89 miles an hour according to the gun. Hardest pitch he's thrown this inning. And there was his delivery, the type of delivery that he had in the first 4 innings.
The 0-2 Meekly tapped back to Hilliard. He flips it over to Flag, and he gets out of the 5th. After the Muckdogs touch him up for a couple of runs. It's a 1-run ball game here in Brooklyn. When you come to Coney Island, you got to get a hot dog, and you have to have a hot dog race. Ketchup holding off Mustard, Relish well behind, so another victory for Ketchup in the great hot dog race. Oh wait, maybe Relish knew where the finish line was and no one else did. A new pitcher on the hill for the Muckdogs. Number 1, Houston Summers out of Greensboro, North Carolina. Comes in with a record of 1-1 and a save. ERA of 3.09. He's worked just over 23 innings. 15 walks to 12 strikeouts.
Interesting delivery. That's it.
Doesn't get a whole lot into it.
Well, there's not a lot of moving parts here. Not a lot to go wrong.
Looks like a self-pitch by the coach in the Little League, but he's playing pro baseball, and Dan Billardello seems to get a chuckle out of it. He's quickly ahead 0-2, and that one doesn't quite get there. He is a knuckleballer. The 1-2. That's high. 2-2. Any higher? That might have been an Ephus pitch. I think we can put the gun to rest here for the bottom of the 5th. The 2-2 puts a little mustard into that one.
Well, I'll tell you what, after the success that R.A. Dickey has had for the New York Mets and been a bit of a savior for him, who knows? Maybe it's a wave of the future, but it's certainly interesting.
Forsythe goes the other way again, and this one will drop for a base hit. So a good piece of hitting by Blake Forsythe, going the other way once again.
Going to play for your Brooklyn Cyclones, the second baseman, number 21, J.B. Brown.
You know, Bobby, you touched on R.A. Dickey. What have you seen him do this year? You know, just with that pitch, the knuckleball. You know, he elaborates on it so well in the postgame, saying, you know, good knuckleball, bad knuckleball. When do you know if he's really locked in or dialed in?
Well, I haven't seen the bad one yet. I'm sure he's got one, but what I've seen and what is most impressive, the way he varies the velocity of it and the way he throws it for called strikes. That's one of the unique things I've seen with R.A. Dickey in that knuckleball. He sort of has a consistent movement with it, which is sort of down and away into righties, away to lefties, but I'm just so impressed with his consistency to throw it over the plate and back it up with an 86-mile-an-hour fastball. And I was talking with Wally earlier tonight, and he said that difference when you're looking for just a quality knuckleball, and he backs it up with 85, 86. That's a tough variation to handle, and I think that's one of the reasons he has been so effective this year. Is he does have, according to me, a legitimate fastball, and I used to throw about the same speed.
J.B. Brown awaits the 2-0. He hits this one into the gap. It's out of reach. Forsythe heads to third. Wally holds him up. So an opposite field double for J.B. Brown. And the Cyclones threatening once again with 2 on and nobody out here in the bottom of the 5th.
Well, they have just pounded the ball all night. Once again, we see a ball center of the field. And I think that's just been a consistent approach with these guys, along with the home runs. And I know I talk a lot about that, but I can tell you from a pitching standpoint, if I'm facing a ball club that's using the center of the field, yet has the desire to turn on me and go yard, that's a very tough ball club to face. Good lessons being learned here right now by the hitting approach of these young Mets. Cyclones.
So Houston Summers hasn't fooled the first 2 batters. Now an RBI opportunity for Cody Holliday. Takes a big cut at that knuckleballer for strike 1. The 0-1. He waits this time and goes through the drawn-in infield for a base hit. Forsythe scores. J.B. Brown follows. So Holiday comes through with a 2-run single. Cyclones back up by 3, 7-4.
Well, the Cyclone numbers with runners in scoring position as a team are fantastic. And once again, driving in runs. They don't leave them. When they get them in scoring position, they don't leave them out there very often.
So that turns the lineup over and brings up Ryland Sandoval. Sandoval waits on that one and hammers a base hit to left. Holiday looking to make it to third, and he's in there with the head-first slide. No smile anymore now in the Muckdog dugout.
He's moving right here. Straight steal, slow pitch to home. Makes it all the way to third. This is piling on. This is what you do. You don't rest on a lead. You keep moving. You keep your guys moving. And Sandoval in that leadoff spot is there for several reasons. One of which, Wally gets to instill these types of things in him. How to keep the ball in play. How to put the ball in play. How to move your runners along. Situational hitting. I'm not seeing a lot of big swing pop-ups today. What I'm seeing is a lot of hard line drives, center of the field, and some turned on.
First and third for Ceciliani. He goes the opposite field. It's back, and it's gone off the wall. The night fooled me there, but he'll take the RBI. He went opposite field earlier tonight with his first home run of the game. It looked like home run number 2, but it comes up just short.
They do have a favorable wind, but that is a tough wall to call over there, ain't it? A little defense feed.
Thank you, Bob. I need that.
We had some arguments when I was here coaching. You know, that hit the top, that hit the bottom, so it's understandable. But nice piece of hitting once again, and these are the things. All these guys are letting the ball get deep. They're not getting fooled all that often. Yes, sometimes they are, but for a young ball club, a rookie-level ball club, I'm very impressed with the improvement that I've seen. And this is our 4th game in doing a Cyclone game, and I've seen a tremendous improvement in the way these guys are attacking the opposition.
So this inning certainly won't help the ERA of Houston Summers. So that gets up Matt North, the right-hander out of St. Petersburg, Florida. Now Vaughn steps in. Cyclones up 8-4. He already has one tonight. First base open. And they drill him. So I guess if they wanted to put him on, that was certainly one way to put him on. I'll turn this over to you, Commissioner Ojeda. What's your verdict?
Well, I think maybe he was trying to go in to keep people honest, and it went a little too far in. I have to side with the pitching. I think that's an important part of the ball game. I really don't believe he deliberately hit him. I think he said, look, you guys got to get off the plate. I'm not throwing very hard. If I let you keep diving out, you're going to wear me out.
So Flagg swings at the first pitch and fouls it back.
And that's not the kind of swing you want to see right there by Flagg. I mean, everyone else is thinking up the middle, line drives. Here's a guy who's struggling, and he takes a big, giant swing like that. That's not what you want to see. You've got to think the opposite on this soft thrower right here.
The 0-1. Another big cut. 0-2 for Flagg. With the bases loaded, nobody out. A chance to pad his RBI total. Sandoval, Ceciliani, Vaughn all on base. Flagg lets that one go by. For ball 1. The 1-2. Makes contact, sends it out to center. This should score Sandoval. Longmire under it, and he throws it back into the infield. So Sandoval comes in, an RBI for Flagg. It's 9-4.
Flagg showing a tremendous amount of frustration. Knocks in a run. but certainly he was looking for a bit more. Been awfully cold his last 5 games.
So the other 2 runners held. So first and second with 1 out for Bonfi. Bonfi 1 for 3 on the evening. Takes a hack at that knuckleball, chops it foul. Wally makes that gentleman happy. Now let's see. Oh, it looked like he was going to do the right thing there and give it up to a younger fan. Summers turns up the heat there and gets strike 2. The 0-2. Bonfi chases the high knuckler and goes down swinging. So Summers bounces back to get back-to-back hitters.
Summers doesn't have a 309 by taking it lightly. He's bared down, and he's one of the best Cyclone hitters. He had Ware one in the back. Lo and behold, he's got 2 outs and looking to get out of here with at least saving some face, because he was in deep trouble there for a while.
Brian Harrison waits on it. Fouls it away. Harrison had an RBI opportunity in his last at-bat, but flew out to right. The 0-1. Hammered down the line. Great play there by Rodriguez. The throw to first is off the line. So safe at first is Harrison. Bases loaded once again. Rodriguez, though, saved Summers a couple of earned runs on that play.
Outstanding play right there. Pitcher's best friend. Looks like at least 2, probably 3, driving in some runs. And keeps it on the infield.
So now Forsythe, who already has 2 base hits tonight and an RBI. He started this whole inning with an opposite field base hit. Both his hits tonight have been the other way. Again, the 3rd round pick, the highest position player selected by the Mets in the 2010 draft. That pitch way outside. Growing up in Memphis, his Little League coach was his dad, John, and he became the catcher pretty much because he was the only kid in the neighborhood who could really catch. Cyclones continuing to hit well with runners in scoring position. Some of the guys, Bobby, as you've been pointing out, have been putting up ridiculous numbers with guys on, led by Ceciliani. Corrella's still waiting to get out there. So Summers nowhere to put Forsythe. The 3-1. Ball 4, he walked him. That'll bring in Ceciliani. And it'll make it 10-4. It'll also bring out Dan Bilardello and will end the night for the knuckleballer Houston Summers. So a new pitcher when we return. The Cyclones pouring it on here in the 5th.
It is a lot of fun. And this is how it was when I was here.
So a rough 5th inning for Houston Summers. He loses, he leaves the ball game. Matt North comes in to try to put out the fire with the bases loaded and 2 outs. This is North's 11th appearance of the season. He's 2-1. High ERA. Gives up a lot of hits. So, Irish Heritage Night here in Brooklyn. King Henry helps celebrate. J.B. Brown steps in with the bases loaded. When we started the bottom of the 5th, the Cyclones' lead was down to 1, 5-4, but a big inning against the knuckleballer with a chance to become even bigger. Brown swings at the first pitch and sends a fly ball to center field. Longmire right there to make the grab. So 1 pitch, 1 out for North to get out of the inning, but Wally's club puts up a 5 spot in the 5th. So the Cyclones with a 6-run cushion here after a 5-run 5th. We head to the top of the 6th from MCU Park. Chris Hilliard's night is done. Daniel Corella, the New York City product, onto the hill. Corella played his high school ball at George Washington High School. Big righty. 6'3", 225. 9 games, an ERA under 1. 8 strikeouts to 4 walks in just over 10 innings pitched. It has turned into a very nice night, albeit a little sticky, but a good night to go to the rides in Coney Island or come on down to MCU Park to check out the Cyclones, where the Cyclones have been playing just great baseball at home. 18-4 here at MCU Park. Corella's first pitch of the night. Crosses up Forsythe. Ball 1. Victor Sanchez, the first baseman, hit .243 on the season. The 1-0. Swing and a miss. The 1-1. Can't hold up. Jams him inside.
What I like the early part of his windup. I like he hides the ball well, gets a nice big turn, and throws that big body behind all this. I'd like to see a little bit more movement, but the delivery is solid. Not a lot of pressure on his arm right there. It's not a max effort type windup right there. Very clean, nice delivery.
The 2-2. Hammered to left for a base hit as it drops in front of Holiday. So Sanchez starts things off in the 6th with a base hit.
Another case of 92 straight up out over the middle. It's easy to square them up when they're like that. You like to see a little bit of movement.
So John Rodriguez steps in. The third baseman. Made one of the nicer plays of the evening in the field. Swings at the first pitch. Flag going back on it. Brown there, and J.B. Brown makes the catch for the first out of the inning.
He made that look a little bit easier than it was. He does have a little crosswind, bringing it back into him. Nice play. Went a long way for it. Some traffic over there. Just took charge.
So that brings up Baserta, former Rutgers Scarlet Knights star, who hit .368 for Fred Hill Sr. this year in Piscataway. Led the Scarlet Knights with 18 home runs and drove in 56 runs. Really took off once they moved him to designated hitter. All Big East his junior year. The 0-1. Out in front of this pitch, fouls it off. Harrison going over there, runs out of room.
.78-mile-an-hour changeup. Location wasn't much, but what he fooled him on was the speed. Had he even kept that ball fair, that's what you want. You want to invite that soft contact. That's a nice differential between that 92-mile-an-hour fastball.
So Corella for the second time this inning gets 2 strikes on a batter. The 0-2. Serta holds up. The catcher, Luis De La Cruz, on deck. The 1-2. We'll do it again. As I mentioned, Corella, a product of George Washington High School in the city. The same high school that produced one Manny Ramirez. So a great baseball tradition with that school in Upper Manhattan. The 1-2. Fisted to Sandoval at short. He makes the grab. 2 away. De La Cruz steps in.
Nicely done right there with that breaking ball down and in. Going out and covering, you know, pretty much just taking that high fastball, getting a piece of the changeup where you drop that breaking ball down and in. It's tough to lay off. You can't cover it all.
That fastball high to De La Cruz. The 1-0. He held up. Nope. The appeal. Said he swung. Didn't really see any call out there, so I thought they were giving it to him. Corella wants to go over the signs again. This is game 2 of a 6-game homestand for the Cyclones this weekend. 2 good giveaways. On Saturday night, it will be Pepsi Backpack Night. And then on Sunday the 8th, they will give out models of MCU Park. So August 7th, Pepsi Backpack Night. August 8th, MCU Park model. Giveaway day. Those games on the 7th and the 8th will be against the Connecticut Tigers.
Should be a beautiful weekend too. This is such a great place to watch a ball game. I mean, I just enjoyed my time here at 102. My kids went to a lot of these ball games, and just a great atmosphere, a fun atmosphere, and a great family venue to watch a ball game.
Saturday's a 6 o'clock start. Sunday a 5 o'clock start. As Corella has Corella and De La Cruz bringing the proceedings to a snail's pace here. Now we're ready to go. The 2-2. Swung on and missed. The big fella comes up with some big heat to get out of the 6th. We've talked a lot about the Cyclones offense. When we return, we'll talk about the pitching staff with pitching coach Rick Tomlin. The Cyclones looking to continue to play great baseball at home, looking to improve to 19-4 here at MCU Park. Lead the Muckdogs 10-4. Eamon McEnany along with Bobby Ojeda. We are now joined by Brooklyn pitching coach Rick Tomlin. And coach, coming in, a 3.21 ERA for your staff, second best in the league. What have you liked the most about your staff so far this summer here for Brooklyn?
Well, guys, you know, the strong point of this staff is they throw strikes. And, you know, we got young guys, and, you know, we got guys that can pitch. They're, you know, they don't blow guys away as far as just having the greatest stuff in the world. But, you know, as well as I do, I mean, part of it is just being able to command the zone, and that's their strength, is they throw fastballs, they keep the ball on the plate, they welcome contact, and that's been very successful for us. And they're learning how to pitch.
And those secondary pitches, I know I talked to you earlier about all your guys. You've got them using those secondary pitches, and they're still throwing strikes. But let me ask you about Hilliard. He was sailing along pretty good, really working nice with Forsythe back there, and then all of a sudden, what'd you see?
Well, he, you know, the big thing with Hilly has been to keep his tempo going, and you know, he got away from it a little bit there, and I tried between innings to keep him speeded up. And, you know, he got away from it a little bit. He made some poor pitch selections with the lead. You know, he went out there with a 5-2 lead, and right off the bat, he, you know, tried to trick some guys instead of just saying, hey, I got a 5-2 lead. I'm going to challenge guys. I'm going to throw the ball on the plate. And he sort of got away from his plan a little bit, and then he elevated and got himself in trouble. Yeah,
I think when he went to those off-speed pitches, which, and I know you know the tendency is he slows his motion down, and then it just filtered into everything. His fastball dropped. I don't know if you could see the gun or have a gun down there, but we were seeing about 80 miles an hour up here.
Yeah, no doubt. Like I said, in fact, on the first hitter of that inning, you know, I thought he was throwing all changeups, and Blake came in and told me they were all fastballs, and that's why he went out and checked him to make sure he was okay. But you know, I don't know what the miscommunication was that, and believe me, Bobby, you know I'll find that out. But yeah, you know, the big thing is when we get away from our plan and we start trying to trick a little bit, you know, and I'm trying to get guys to understand how to use their stuff and pitch according to the scoreboard. And you know, you got a 5-2 lead. I want him to go out there and be real aggressive. You know, one thing I've told Hilliard again is that you'll be amazed at how many outs you'll get with your fastball if you know, you speed up and you go aggressively and mix, and then all of a sudden you look up there and say, hey, and I'm in the 6th or 7th inning, and I've thrown all these fastballs, and I got myself a win right here. So he just got away from it a little bit, and you know as well as I do, that's youth and inexperience, and that's why they're in the lower levels, and they're trying to learn and develop, and that's my task.
Yeah. Holiday works out a walk. If things stay the same, Chris Hilliard will pick up a win and go to 7-1. Let's talk about Angel Kwan. He'll get a turn pretty soon on this homestand. 5-0 with a 1.6 ERA, 41 Ks. Those are the stats, but tell the fan what they would see if they come out here to get a chance to see Angel on the mound.
You're going to see a little guy with a big heart. This kid is again, maybe not the most blessed talent-wise in the world, but he's got a heart as big as anybody I've ever had, and I've had some good ones. And he believes in what we're trying to get him to do, and his curveball has improved leaps and bounds, and he just, you know, he's in a zone right now to where he knows what he's doing. He's confident in what he's doing, and he's just going out there and having some fun and pitching.
Well, I'll tell you, you got another guy, Rick, who's just impressed me, and it seems like every time we're here, he chucks. James up there. In Frazier, I just think this kid's got tremendous size, great fastball, nice delivery, very clean delivery, and that late sharp slider. What improvements have you seen, and what his demeanor just looks so under control when I've seen him throw?
Yeah, no doubt. You know, he's made his adjustment into professional baseball. You know, his first time or two out, you know, as all the guys do, you know, they think they're going to pitch their way to the big leagues in 1 or 2 appearances, and you know, he got that out of his system, and you know, really got him calmed down a little bit, and just says, hey, you know, let's let your natural great arm work for you, and don't try to feel like you've got to do something spectacular. And he's got great makeup. All the things that you said are exactly true. I mean, you know, he just does so many things well. You know, those are the guys you look at and you say, man, this guy's just going to be a matter of time before he gets the big leagues.
Yeah, that 94-mile-an-hour fastball he's gotten you, and as you said, you've got him pitching with that rather than making 94, 97.
Yeah, exactly. You know as well as I do, you know, especially when you're young, you know, we start overthrowing, and you know, we get that 96, 97, and that looks fine and dandy, but you know, we're pitching behind in the count, and we're scattering the fastball, and you know, I've just tried to impress upon him that, hey, 94, 95 is pretty good. and it's pretty good, especially when you can command it. And again, he's bought into that, and he's settled down, and he's just a pleasure to have. And you know, those kind of arms, when they come along, you just look forward to working with those guys.
Cyclones pitching coach Rick Tomlin, thanks a lot for the time, Rick. Enjoy the rest of the season.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rick.
Okay.
He was discussing Ryan Frazier there, the big man, 6'4", 210. Daryl Cecilani up, and he has had a big night once again. He started things off with a home run, and then his last at bat looked like he might have home run number 2 on the season, at least to somebody's 2 eyes, but off the wall, another opposite field shot for a double. An RBI double.
Well, he's not hitting 380 by not being able to cover the outside part of the plate. It's one of the things I've liked about his swing when I've seen him hit, is he's able to cover that outside part of the plate, but the only reason he's doing that is because he's thinking along lines with the pitcher.
That pitch inside, the throw back to first, they get him. So Holiday caught napping at first, picked off by De La Cruz. 2 away, now nobody on for Ceciliani. I don't know, I thought that hand might have gotten in there.
Well, sometimes
Sanchez with the swipe tag.
Yeah, exactly. The ball beats his swipe tag. He doesn't fish for the tag. He just slaps it. Good play.
Ceciliani pulls it foul. Daryl Ceciliani trying to rewrite the Cyclones record book this summer. Looks like the average he has wrapped up. Hits. Pretty much on target. And he's already set the new triple record. Angel Pagan might be nervous there at stolen bases. What a leap he has made this summer here in Brooklyn. Earlier this summer, Angels number 35 retired here at MCU Park. Bobby, you were on hand for those festivities. The 3-2. He holds up. Works out a walk.
Angel was a pleasure when we had him here. He was hard working then and hard-nosed player and a very likable young man. And I'll tell you one thing, the success he's had at the major league level hasn't changed him one iota. He's still just a polite young man, very thankful, and was so appreciative when he was here and he had his name, number retired. Quite an honor for the young man. He was very humbled when he was here.
So that one got a piece of Corey Vaughn. So with 2 outs, the Cyclones now have 2 on with back-to-back walks.
Not a big effort to get out of the way here. That's part of the...
I was surprised. I thought the big fellow would want to swing away. Why take your base?
Well, if he's an individual thinker, he'd think, no, I'm getting out of the way. But he's thinking team first. I'm going to wear it for my ball club. Part of that, it's all about us, not me.
So second straight at bat that Vaughn goes to first base via the hit by pitch. So now an RBI opportunity once again for Mr. Flagg. He came through with a sacrifice fly in his last at bat to drive in a run with the bases loaded against the knuckleballer.
Yeah, I know. Exactly like you said.
Kind of fooled by that one. He takes it for a strike.
Yeah, clearly struggling picking up the ball. He's just walking around a little bit like he's putting a little bit too much pressure on himself, and that never ever helps. He needs to lighten up and just think up the middle with this.
That pitch outside, so the count evens at 1-1.
Hey, boy, come on, here you go.
That's part of the process when, you know, with these younger guys, and I know he's not that young, but they've got to handle the tough times, the adversity, and figure your way out of it. Don't force your way out of it. Figure it out.
Couldn't pull the trigger on that one, and once again sees the strike go by. So now 1-2 with 2 on and 2 out. Cyclones up by 6, 10-4. Flagg pulls it through for a base hit. Wally holds up Ceciliani. So the bases are loaded for Joe Bonfig.
Nicely done right there. Went to the well on him 3 times with that breaking ball. Buckled him twice, but as we see right here, he stayed in there, fought himself, fought the urge to bail out of there. and put a nice piece of wood on it. That's why it got through that hole. Nicely done right there.
Patrick Caserta quickly to the ball to stop any thought by Wally Backman of sending Ceciliani, as fast as Ceciliani is. So Ace Adams with a visit to the mound. Nobody warming up.
That's one of those things. It's not a question really, you know, if Wally was to send him there or not, if he was clearly going to be safe. It's not really piling on. But these young men, it's all, they need their stats, and you got a shot in RBI, you really got to send them. You know, it's not, I don't think any manager takes it personal unless the score's like, you know, 30 to nothing. They all understand that these young men are fighting, trying to have something to feel good about. So in certain situations, you go ahead and send them even once the score's a little heavy.
So Bonfi struggling a little bit here in this game, steps in. The base is loaded at 2 outs. The 1-0. Gets away from De La Cruz. Ceciliani walks right in with another run to make it 11-4 Brooklyn. So the second wild pitch of the night for Batavia. Bonfi couldn't hold up his swing, so it's a strike, but more importantly for the Cyclones, they tack on run number 11. So now second and third with 2 out for Bonfi. Goes the other way. This one, nobody's going to get it, and it's a fair ball and in the corner, so that will bring in 2 runs for Joe Bonfi. Vaughn scores, flag follows easily. So Joe Bonfi goes the opposite way for 2 more runs. Cyclones piling it on now, lead by 9, 13-4.
Not a bad pitch, just up, and he's able to go the other way with it. It's one of those pitches, you try to pull it, you roll it over or pop it up. These young Cyclones have really put on a clinic on how to use the entire field, and really is a lot of fun to watch. I've seen tremendous progression in this ball club in the 4 games that we've done out here.
So Dan Brillardello heads to the mound to take out North. David Kingston will be the next pitcher for Batavia when we return. So I have to say, it's been the luck of the Irish for the Cyclones on Irish Heritage Night, as they have put up 13 runs on the Muckdogs and lead by 9, 13-4. New pitcher for Batavia, the right-hander out of Canada, David Kingston, on the hill, 1-2 with an ERA of 6.89 in 15 2/3 innings of work, 15 hits, 9 walks, 16 strikeouts. He comes in with a runner on second and 2 out. Another good crowd on hand here at MCU Park. Part of a 6-game homestand for the Cyclones. Game 2 of a 6-game homestand. We'll wrap up on Monday with a matinee. First pitch against Connecticut on Monday, high noon here at Coney Island. So Brian Harrison steps in, man on second. Cyclones already up by 9.
Harrison having an excellent night, 3 knocks, looking to get another one. I'll guarantee he's not going through the motions here.
Takes the first pitch. De La Cruz got nicked up on that one. Right through. Glove did not stop that one at all.
Big toe like that. taking a little bit of beating back there tonight, but that's the toughest job on the field. I think I really do. I have the utmost respect for catchers.
He wants to stay in there. First start as catcher for the Muckdogs was at Palm Beach. He's going to gut it out here. Kingston's 1-0. Outside again, 2-0. Kingston out of British Columbia. Played for Johnson City before Batavia. Once again outside, so no command of the strike zone coming in and out of the bullpen. Falls behind 3-0.
He did not throw many warm-up pitches, which was kind of interesting. He was up, and then the game fell apart quick, so looks a little bit like he's not quite loose.
He did not get a lot of time to warm up because no one was warming up during that big inning. Then all of a sudden Dan Bilardello had to go back out there to get his man. So should be interesting to see what happens here on this 3-0 pitch. And he gets the strike. So now Harrison gets a chance to swing away at the 3-1 with a runner on second. Sends it to center. Longmire going back. He's got a beat on it, and he is there. So the Cyclones come up with 3 more. Brooklyn pulling away to win number 32 on the season, up by 9. Good night all around here on Surf Avenue in Coney Island as the Cyclones have a 9-run lead on the Batavia Muckdogs. Eamon McEnany along with Bobby Ojeda. Some fans getting some late night rides in. Swing at the first pitch by Edmondson, and that will go back into the stands. And Bobby, now let's put the spotlight on the Mets farm system. The farm system making some news today is outfielder Kirk Neuenhuis, promoted from Binghamton to Buffalo. What's he been doing well this summer?
Well, what they really like is he's got power to all fields. He's got an outstanding arm, and he's got some very good plate discipline for a young man, but he's actually a former Brooklyn Cyclone as well, and the type of guy that has really showed tremendous progress. Tim Tuffle said he's just been a pleasure to work with, but he loves that he has this plate discipline, and that's something that some guys are a little ahead of the game on, and he is. And the spray power is something that is creeping into this Met organization, and that's something that is extremely valuable.
Corella 0-2 on Edmondson. Hammered foul. Look out. Certainly hope everyone's okay there. Heading right into the front row. And back to the discussion on the farm system. Neuenhuis moves to Buffalo, where he joins Lucas Duda. And on the post-game show, Bobby, you and Chris Carlin have had several opportunities to show the highlights of Duda. Just how much power does he have, and could he be a September call-up?
Well, he certainly could be, absolutely. He's one of those guys that he's got pop as well to all fields. His ability to our defense is a little bit questionable. He doesn't have much there yet. He's probably a potential corner outfielder, but 25 years old. He went to USC, and there again got some nice pop, which is nice to see these guys coming through the system heading to Citi Field, hopefully. So Corella pulls the string and gets a strikeout to lead off the inning. Catch up. He plays every now and then. Duda does. Plays about once a week. Obi told me at first base. He puts him over there, gets some experience, and the type of guy that still in the process of developing, but he does possess power to all fields, and that's a rare commodity. Does he have the power that will override what you said, maybe the defense that isn't there yet? Do you see you have that much power that it's worth bringing him up anyway? Well, that's the type of thing that remains to be seen. In the National League, That's a tough position to be in. It might be a future American leaguer. I don't know. It's still too early to tell, though. Sometimes guys can fool you, and all of a sudden they blossom into a serviceable outfielder, and sometimes that's good enough. As you say, you know, you've got enough pop, you've got enough plate discipline, you know how to work counts, decent arm. Those are all things that can make you get away with a little less athletic ability than some guys. But he's been doing a tremendous job.
We'll keep the discussion in the Buffalo outfield. And what kind of progress has Fernando Martinez been making this year with Buffalo?
Well, lately he's been doing a much better job. He's feeling better, and you know, the whole key to that young man, he has so much ability, is just staying healthy, get locked in, and get a full season under his belt. And that's proved to be a difficult task so far. You know,
the interesting thing about evaluating Fernando Martinez, because the fans have been hearing about him for so long, and he got that call up last year due to injuries when he probably wasn't ready. It almost seems like, you know, it's passing him by, but you know, where is he on his progression? And is he right on schedule? Is he behind schedule? What would you say?
Well, you know what? His age is working in his favor. He's still a fairly young guy, so he's all right. He progressed at a rapid pace because he was so gifted, and then he's had his share of injuries, but his age is still working in his favor. He's not one of those guys who's been around. He's now 28, 29, in that type of range. He's still young enough to hopefully reach that potential that we all feel he has.
If you were filling out his scouting report, would you peg him as a center fielder or a corner guy?
Well, you know what? I think that depends on his health. I think that depends on what we have. I think he's talented enough that you can put him in either position. I think a lot of times, you know, if you get pigeonholed into, well, he's just a center fielder or he's just a corner, you can hamstring a kid's development. So I think you have to be open-minded, and you have to see as he progresses, gets healthy, where he might be a good fit.
The 3-2. Swung on and missed. Another strikeout for Corella as Castillo chases the high heat.
Corella living upstairs tonight. That high cheese that he's throwing out of the zone, and that's why he's getting away with it. When he gets around the belt or a little below, he gets hammered, as he did that first inning. Now he's moved it up out. Batavia is yet to get disciplined enough to lay off it.
Back down to the farm, Bobby. Ruben Tejada opened up some eyes when he took advantage of Luis Castillo's injury. Didn't hit at the major league level, but showed some flashes defensively. What's he working on back in Buffalo, and where's he improving back down at AAA?
Well, he's working on trying to hit the ball on the ground. One of the problems he's had, and he's a little guy, but he's athletic. I was so impressed with watching him play when he was with the Mets. He's got to hit the ball on the ground, though, at his size, and learn how to manipulate the ball. You know, work a ball the other way, work a count, anticipate what the pitcher's going to try to do to him, because even though he was hitting 280 before he got called up in AAA, which is a nice number for AAA, the major leaguers, the difference is once they find your weak spots, they're just going to go right to it and abuse you there. So what he's got to do is get the ball on the ground. Obi said that's one of the things he's working on right now, is hitting the ball on the ground, maybe working up the middle, but understanding more of what a pitcher's trying to do to him. And I'll tell you something, at his age, which is 20, you know, I think he has a tremendous future, you know, with the Mets. I just liked what I saw with his athleticism. That part you can't teach. You're born with that, and he is gifted.
How you said his age is working with him, 20 years old. How quickly do you think he could become a consistent, everyday big leaguer?
Well, you know, that's the million-dollar question. It remains to be seen. I think, you know, going back down was a good thing for him. Potentially he'll come back up in September. There's no reason I wouldn't think not to bring him up to be around the big league club. No one else is playing anyway. But he's probably a kid who absolutely is going to play winter ball. And the progression he'll make from there, because there's quality pitching down there.
So Bergman fights one the other way for a base hit off Corella. Buffalo Bison's having a good season. Cyclones here also rocking and rolling for Wally Backman.
Yeah, Buffalo's 3 out of the wild card and have really turned their season from last year. Last year was pretty disappointing for them, and this year they've really been very competitive. They brought in some guys. They brought in some, if you will, some professional AAA guys to play with your prospects, which is what you need. And I think it's all part of the, you know, winning is developing. So you really don't want to go out there and take your beatings. You want to win. You want to be competitive. See how guys play under pressure.
Haleka hits it hard, but right at Sandoval. So Corella doesn't allow a run in the 7th. The Cyclones rolling up by 9. Welcome back to Brooklyn. We head to the bottom of the 7th. The Cyclones up by 9. Eamon McEnany along with Bobby Ojeda. Cyclones in first place, 16 games over 500. Looking to improve to 32-15 on the season. Same pitcher in there for Batavia. David Kington will face off against Forsyth. 3rd round pick out of the University of Tennessee, the catcher. Having a good night tonight. Two RBI, 2 hits. The 1-0. Down low, 2-0. Bobby, let's continue our discussion on the Met prospects. Certainly Henry Mejia, a name that's always on the mind of Met fans when they think about the minor leagues. What's the status of the right-hander? Well, it sounds like he is back and feeling great. 4 innings today, 7 punch-outs, 1 hit down in Port St. Lucie, and is on his way to Binghamton to make his next start. You know, tremendous fastball, as we all saw, natural cut. But with that being said, that's not enough. I think you're gonna impress briefly, and you're gonna get people out briefly. You stick around the big leagues for a while, and it's not enough. He has to have secondary pitches, not just to show. They've got to be pitches that he can throw for a strike. They've got to be pitches that the National League can respect. Forsyth lines one into center, drops for another base hit. So our first chance to get a look at the new catcher. He's having a fine game here on SNY. Hard to believe. Ball up the middle, base hit. Number 15, 19. You know, Bobby, it's certainly been an interesting year for Mejia. He just burst onto the scene in spring training. Obviously, we all know Jerry just, you know, wanted to have him, you know, thought he could be that setup guy. The original game plan was always to have him develop as a starter, so they try him as a reliever. What's the toughest part of that on him, going from the reliever to a starter, and then having to get back, you know, now to working through some injuries and being a starter again? Well, I think if you take a guy who is used to being a reliever and you try to start him, the protocol is automatic. You have to stretch him out gradually to prevent injury. What happens is when you go from a starter to reliever, it's a real, the protocol is just as dramatic and just as important. You go from throwing once every 5 days full tilt and a bullpen session to throwing every day, every other day. It's a dramatic stress on your arm. It's huge. And this young man had been a starter his entire career. I thought it was the type of thing that could lead to problems because, and now I go back to the one pitch. If all I've got is 95-mile-an-hour cheese, well, guess what I'm throwing? 95-mile-an-hour cheese every day. Well, what about those days my arm doesn't feel so good? I don't have a secondary pitch. I don't have an off-speed pitch I can go to alleviate some of the pressure on my arm. So, you know, it's all well and good. I don't think there's any long-term problems. I think he's well on his way back to being successful. So it was an experiment. It didn't work, and everybody's moved on, and I certainly think he'll be no worse for wear. J.B. Brown sends this one to the gap. That'll go to the wall. Forsyth coming around third. Wally sends him. Here comes the throw. He will be safe. So an RBI for J.B. Brown. A double to the wall makes it 14-4 Brooklyn. Guys have not missed many pitches that have been up. I know Benny DiStefano has got extra pizza coming for everybody tonight on the offense. He's been really proud of his guys tonight, I'll guarantee you that. Can I trade in my Irish Heritage jersey for some of that extra pizza? You might be able to. There's something magical about 20 hits, I'll tell you that. I know Hojo, when he saw 20 hits, there was something like, you know, it's just something that does that really gets those guys excited. And not me as a former pitcher, I don't like to see that number, but outstanding job by the Cyclone offense tonight. No surprise though, leading this league in everything. sure the just under 9,000 fans in attendance here tonight appreciate the 20 hits and the 14 runs. And Bobby, I want to take you back to Mejia one last time. What did everyone fall in love with in spring training? What did he show down there? And what was the reality when the lights came on? What was the biggest difference between Henry Mejia in spring training and Henry Mejia in the major leagues?
Well, Henry Mejia in spring training was an unknown entity. He came on with not just an explosive fastball, but he had the unique ingredient of it had a natural cut. I could see why people would fall in love with it, and I could see why people says, hey, let's challenge him. I could understand that completely. But as a former pitcher, I think without a doubt, I'd say with no secondary pitch, no respectable secondary pitch, it's a flawed problem. And I only say that as a former pitcher because I know there was days I just did not have one pitch or the other pitch, and I had to rely on the third pitch. So as he makes his progression, I know he had excellent numbers today. I hope it wasn't just a bunch of 95-mile-an-hour fastballs with a cut. I hope there was some off speed in there as well.
Justin Schaefer, number 12, pinch hitting for Ryland Sandoval. Here in the 7th, 1 run in, 1 out, runner on third. Swings at a high fastball and misses to fall behind 0-2.
Well, Mejia didn't throw. It wasn't today. I'm sorry, I made a mistake. He threw a few days ago, got called up today. I mean to misspeak on his behalf, but let's see what he's got. You know, there's plenty of season left. I certainly wouldn't ticket him for the rotation at any time right now, but let him progress. Let him build his strength back up.
0-2. And Schaefer gets called out on strikes for the second out of the inning. And well,
it's getting to that point of the game, and you better swing the bat. It's close. That's part of the process too.
So Ceciliani steps in. Another solid night for the center fielder out of Oregon. His average had dipped, but now he's working back towards a possible 400 season at 384. He was up at 390 recently. Came in hitting 376. Bob, you don't like seeing those numbers. You get flashbacks seeing all those crooked numbers all on the scoreboard.
Yeah, I usually don't see. I see the first half of them, then I'm gone.
And Ceciliani is gone looking. The 7th inning is gone. The Cyclones rolling by 10. We head to the 8th from Brooklyn. We're back after this. The Cyclones having no problem juggling this game as they are 6 outs away from win number 32 on the season. So Justin Schaefer hits for Sandoval. Now he goes in and plays short for Ryland Sandoval. And we have a new pitcher as well. Hamilton Bennett takes over for Daniel Corella. Bennett, the southpaw out of South Carolina. Played at Tennessee Wesleyan College. An ERA of 3.8 in 21 1/3 innings of work. 8 walks to 21 strikeouts. We've seen him before, Bobby. Southpaw coming out of the pen for Wally Backman.
Yep, excellent secondary pitch. He's not going to overwhelm you with a lot, but he throws a ton of strikes with all his pitches, and that's one of the things you really like to see. Not overwhelming is fine, but as Rick Tomlin said earlier, he throws his strikes and he doesn't walk people, and he makes you beat him.
So they're pulling out all the tricks here in Brooklyn. Part of Irish Heritage Night. 8,859 fans in attendance. Nick Longmire up for the Muckdogs as we hear the bagpipes going in the crowd. The 0-2. So Bennett starts off impressively, getting Longmire to chase.
Said, but his 3rd game I've seen Bennett throw, and that's right on par with what he does. He throw the fastball over and make you chase the off speed, gets ahead of you, and has a very good idea out there on what he wants to do, how he wants to get you out.
Bobby, for the big club, a tough flight from Atlanta to Philly as they get set to take on The defending National League champions, Jonathan Neese, back on the hill after getting roughed up, victim of the long ball against the Diamondbacks. What are you expecting from Jonathan Neese bouncing back, starting game one of a big series on the road, all that hoopla that people like me like to make about this series?
Well, he's got a tall order. He's going to go in there to a bandbox against a club that, even though they're banged up, haven't skipped a beat. They've somehow just kept going, put their head down and charge through the wall no matter who's on that club. So it's a tall order for him, and what he's got to do is keep the ball down, keep it out of the middle, definitely mix his pitches. And the problem I'm seeing with him once again is that cutter is turning into a loopy, slow, round slider, and it gets hammered. I'd like to see him get more curveballs. That tends to get his arm up higher. When his arm is higher, the fastball has better movement, and the cutter is a true cutter.
Sanchez tattoos this one to center. Siciliani going back right before the wall. Makes the grab. No Howard, no Utley in the lineup for the lefty Neese. You were talking about how do you improve that on your off day? What is a guy like that, still young, not his off day, excuse me, his throw day, how does he rediscover his winning ways, I guess is the question.
Well, it's one of those cases where if he's throwing a bullpen, it would be the type of deal where if that's me, I'm going to throw more curveballs. I have to know what I need to do. I have to understand where I need that, and I have to communicate with my catcher at the point of that bullpen. I have to say, how's that break? A major league bullpen is actually a work of art. It's time, it's not rushing through the pitches, and it's getting a lot of feedback from your catcher. How did that rotate? What was the angle of the break? Nothing too dramatic, but I have to have the feedback, because sometimes my eyes are deceiving me. What I think is a good pitch, what I think is a good break, is nothing of the sort. So I have to depend on that other set of eyes, as well as my pitching coach. What does that look like? I had the benefit when I was in New York to throw to Mel Stoudemire. He actually caught all our bullpens, and that's the best angle in the world to see what's up.
So there's a base hit to center to extend the inning. Rodriguez comes through. Now, Bobby, we could go on all the shows, Loudmouths, Wheelhouse, Daily News Live, the post game, Geico Sports Night, and say they have to take 2 out of 3, they have to take 2 out of 3. But take me inside the clubhouse. You're struggling. You haven't won a series on the road against the National League team. How important is it to the players, let alone the standings and the math, to win a series against this team?
Well, you got to win Friday. That would be the way I approach this thing. I cannot look to Saturday. I can't look to Sunday. I've got to win Friday, and I think a lot of the times these Mets get into, like, we got to win a series, and with that, I can understand why it's consuming their thought process. They haven't won a series in quite a while. They haven't even won back-to-back games in quite a while. So with that, I'm approaching every series as I'm winning today, and I'll see it tomorrow. If I lose today, I'll see it tomorrow. I don't want to get ahead of myself, and these games, the value, the pressure, the consequence is becoming real, and it's showing up whether you're going against the teams who are ahead of you. That's a 1-to-1 loss. So you really have to bear down and think about today and not worry about tomorrow, not worry about a series. I don't go in there thinking series. I think one game.
So the Mets will not have to face the new Philly Roy Oswalt, but they will face Roy Halladay on Sunday, and they will counter with R.A. Dickey. So Bennett gets the strikeout to end the inning. We head to the bottom of the 8th after this. A good night for the Rides, a good night for baseball on Coney Island as the Cyclones lead by 10 heading to the bottom of the 8th. Cyclones coming in with a record of 31-15 in first place by 8 games in the McNamara division of the New York-Penn League. New pitcher for the Muckdogs, number 3, Keith Butler, the right-hander out of Bowling Green, Kentucky. 0-2 with 1 save, an ERA just over 2.5, 17 2/3 innings, 27 strikeouts to 9 walks. So Corey Vaughn's night appears to be over, as he will be pinch hit for.
Wally, can I pitch the last inning? Can I pitch the last inning?
Irish Heritage night here, so the green jerseys have, some guys have some changed numbers.
That's Wally. I got the last inning.
Kurt Steinhauer steps in, normally wears number 44, now wearing number 8. out of California. 6'2", 205, hitting a $174 on the season. Takes a strike. So there's the big fellow that we were talking about with Rick Tomlin. Ryan Frazier, 6'4", 210, warming up. Seven saves on the season, Bobby, but a 10-run lead isn't exactly a safe situation.
Well, no, clearly it's not. Hopefully it won't become one. But what it is you have to have your guys get their work in. You don't always go. The scoreboard doesn't dictate what you do when you have guys at this level, young guys, just as much as the lineup. Now, Siciliani, is he a true number 2 hitter? No, but in this case, that's where he's best suited for his progression. And right now, with Frazier out there, for his progression, he needs mound time. He needs to get out there, needs to throw strikes. He needs to have games like this where it's, yeah, I'm just going to throw strikes, work on my stuff, and I'm going to have games where I got runners second and third, 1 out, and a 1-run lead.
What is Siciliani, a true leadoff guy?
Well, that remains to be seen.
Okay.
What the way Wally works this lineup, and this is the way he explained it to me, is that he has guys in positions where he can teach him things that he sees in the future. He sees where he will fit. So he wants him in a particular slot, not so much for the good of the team, which, you know, he does want to win. He's more interested in the good of the individual, where he projects them out, where the organization projects a guy out. You want to put him in those positions where he'll get most of the opportunities to do those things. Siciliani, will he be a big home runner here in the big leagues? No, but will he learn how to handle the bat? Go up the middle, go the other way, hit the ball on the ground, hit the ball in the air. Situational type things, he has more opportunities in the 2-hole.
Where is that?
So the night started off in a big way for Daryl Siciliani as he hit his first home run as a Brooklyn Cyclone. A 2-run shot to the opposite field. And the Muckdogs continue to jaw at the umpires here. We first saw Ace Adams on a walk out to the mound. Now it appears the manager, Dan Billardello, isn't exactly thrilled. Of course, down by 10 on the road after getting shut out the night before.
Oh, I saw that look from Dan from the mound. We faced each other a few times, had a few laughs before the game today, and he got me, I got him, but a great competitor. And that's one of the fun things about being around the game. So many years, you run into guys that you knew as, you know, in your 20s when you were young, and now we see each other all grown up and still involved in the game we love. It's a lot of fun. It really is. It's not just a job.
So Flagg chases the 3-2. He goes down swinging. Again, his second K of the night. That brings up Joe Bonfi, the designated hitter. 2-run double in his last at-bat. This one hit to short. Castillo is there. He makes the throw. And a 1-2-3 inning for the Cyclones. We head to the top of the 9th. The big fella, Frazier, coming in. Welcome back to Brooklyn. The Cyclones 3 outs away from home win number 19 on the season. Coming up tonight after the game on Geico Sports Night, we'll preview the big series down in Philadelphia for the Mets. A vote of confidence for Omar Minaya from the front office and management. And Joe Namath heads to Cortland and makes another super prediction. That's all coming up after the game right here on SNY. It's Geico Sports Night. So the new pitcher for the Cyclones is indeed Ryan Frazier, the 6'4", 210-pound right-hander out of Tennessee. 7 saves on the season, Bobby, and you've had a chance to see him, and certainly that .45 ERA stands out when you take a look at his stats.
Microscopic. This kid has been outstanding, and he's just improved all year. Talking with Rick Tomlin before, his fastball's electric. He's dialed it back to 94. When he first got here, like most young guys, he wants to throw it through a wall, impress everybody. He's a big man on campus. They all want to do it. I wanted to do it. But what he's done now is he's pitching. He's understanding pitching, and I think right here is a very good test. He's got a 10-run lead. What I'd like to see him is throw strikes. There's one. and I'd like to see him bend a few of those breaking balls in there. He can't look at the scoreboard right here. He's got to look at, I've got to get 3 outs. Never mind the scoreboard. Use his pitches, throw strikes, and get them out. Attaboy. That's nice to see right there. That's Rick Tomlin. Right. He's going to be very happy with his guys tonight.
De La Cruz, the catcher, in the 0-2 hole. The pitch. Swung on and missed. No, he did not. Forsythe throws down to first, and he's out. So Frazier comes in and on 3 pitches gets a strikeout. Now, Bobby, I know I've learned one thing this summer working these games with you, that statistics at this level can be misleading or not the big story. So you take a look at the 0.45 ERA as we take another look at strike 3. What are the Mets really looking for out of Frazier this summer, as opposed to just looking at his stats?
Well, this young man has the benefit of, he's got the size. You know, you look at the size of a guy, you look at the fastball, you look at his ability to progress in this short season. You're not looking, you know, for him to become Cy Young out there, but you're looking for him to progress. You want him to retain what you teach him. One of the things is there are guys that can learn and they retain for a start or two, a game or two, and then it's gone. What I've seen of this young man in the 4 games we've been here is not only retention, but improvement.
So after striking out his first batter on 3 pitches, he throws 3 straight balls to Chris Edmondson. The 3-0, high and away, so he walks him on 4 straight pitches. Brings up the shortstop, Castillo.
Now reel it right back in, get right back to work. And part of what you learn as a young man is I'm not on my last pitch, and certainly the previous one. I'm on this pitch and the next one. Young guys have to learn how to think forward as opposed to in the past.
That one gets away from Forsythe. Edmondson heads to second. Forsythe lets him go, so now 5 straight balls for Frazier.
And a visit from Frazier, which is what you want. A little, let's get together here. Let's go. Bring it right to me. Don't worry about it. Just one cliche after another. As I've been out there, and that's what it is. I'm like, haven't we had this conversation? But it helps. It helps reel you back in.
The 1-0 in there for a strike. Bobby, we just had a shot of Wally Backman, a guy you know very well, and you've been around the team this summer now 4 times, as you said. How much fun is he having with this Cyclone team here in Brooklyn this year? Oh,
he's right. He's at home. We hear that phrase a lot, but you know, he has a great history with the New York Mets, and this isn't just another team. He feels a commitment and a attachment to the New York Mets, and he's so appreciative of this opportunity, and he just loves the game, loves being around the game.
Castillo to second. J.B. Brown makes the throw. So 1 out away for Brooklyn to wrap up win number 32 on the season. What is it about Wally Backman that makes him work so well with guys this young and just getting into pro ball?
His passion. His passion. He's here early, not because he has to be, because he wants to be. He teaches them the value of being prepared. He teaches them the value of not being reactor, but be a proactor. Be ahead of the game, understand the game, slow the game down. And the only way you do that is if you're prepared. So they see an example of a manager who gets here early, who stays late, and who has a passion. Yeah, he's got a temper too, but a lot of guys in baseball have tempers. A lot of guys in anything have tempers. But it's a true, honest-to-goodness passion, and they feed off of that.
Bergman pulls it foul. 1-1.
Ten-run game, and all of them are on the top step looking over the thing. Nobody's sitting back in there looking for another bag of seeds.
The 1-1. Inside, 2-1.
And Frazier's doing an all right job. He controls a little bit off, but he is using all his pitches, and that's what you want to see. It's a tough task to go in there with a 10-run lead, but he's doing a good job with it.
Cyclones looking to win their second straight game over the Muckdogs. Last night it was a shutout victory. Batavia came in on a roll, had claimed first place in the Pinckney division. Now a half game out. It could fall even farther out after this one. The 3-1. Second walk of the inning for Frazier. He loses them.
Going to get a visit from Rick Tomlin. A little. Let's go now. Bear down.
Now, Bobby, in the big leagues, the first thing all the fans would say is, well, you know, what do you expect from your closer in a 10-run game?
Well, that's the big leagues. This young man could find himself back in the starting mix at this point. You never know where they want to take him. But to me, he's a big, strong kid, live arm, nice delivery. Actually could wind up going to, let's just say he goes to instructional ball and they try to stretch him out. Why would they stretch him out? Maybe not so much long-term make him a starter, but get him to use his secondary pitches more. It's a priority in organizations. In this organization, secondary pitches. Yeah, you have the fastball, but that's not enough. So he may find himself in that. So you've got to teach him, don't look at the scoreboard. Who cares? There's no excuse. And I'm sure Rick right there said, you got one out, your out's at home plate, go after him, end of story.
Matt Valleca steps in. The runner goes, he fouls it back.
Roles change at this level. Roles change. You're in one role now, and you can't buy into it. You're just learning how to play the game, learning how to pitch. So he may eventually be a starter. He may be a middleman. Who knows where he'll end up? So the scoreboard should never be an issue, and easier said than done.
The 0-1 wild pitch gets away. No advance from third, but Bergman moves up to second. Certainly looked like he was overthrowing there. Working a little bit harder than expected here in the ninth with a 10-run lead. The 1-1. Low and away, ball 2. Valleca with an RBI back in the third. Part of a 2-run inning for Batavia. Swings at this one, hits it into the gap. But the right fielder is there to make the grab to end the game. So the Cyclones continue their dominant summer of baseball at home in Coney Island. Wally Backman's ball club now 19-4 at MCU Park. 32-15 overall, 17 games over 500.
A spectacular job. A lot of these young men, didn't even make a single ball club out of camp. So it's not like it's a stacked team, but it's a team that's playing together. Great camaraderie, great chemistry. And here again, 19-4 at the friendly confines of MCU Ballpark. So they like playing at home. It sounds familiar. The big boys down the road like playing at home, but these guys have really clicked. They've got a great chemistry, and they are really doing outstanding. I was very impressed with their hitting tonight. Very impressed with up the middle of the way, turning on balls, not locked into one approach, but just taking what was pitched and working with it. Outstanding job.
Game 2 of a 6-game homestand. Backpack night on Saturday. MCU Model Park on Sunday. So the big boys shined once again under the lights. Ceciliani goes yard. Vaughn goes yard. Cyclones win by 10. We're back after this.